This is Reese Sampson from the Horror Lasagna podcast, sitting down at Cafe 14 with Vaughn Sutcliffe to talk about local politics.
Well, good morning, Reese. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Vaughn. So you're running for trustee in Deerfield Township?
Yeah, that is correct.
What do you see as the role of the trustee?
Well, as far as the local township trustees, they're in charge of the money that comes down through the county from the property taxes and different levies for the township, and they are charged with dispersing that as needed for the cemeteries, the road department, and the fire department, and make sure that they're spent wisely and to the best of the residents.
All right. You've always been, our families have been in this township for a long time.
Very long time, yes.
You've always been very civically minded, always involved with the fire department in the past.
Yes. 37 years.
You served as interim fire chief for a while, if memory serves.
Yes, I was asked to step in by the trustees. I was assistant chief for 21 years, and I was asked to step in to help out when the other fire chief had some issues, and we wanted to make sure the department kept running through any of that. So I stepped in and helped. I told them that I wasn't there for a long time, but I would get the department set up for its next chief. I had applied for the job 7 years before that and was overlooked for this chief. And I was getting ready, coming up on 40 years, and was going to retire. Anyhow, fire department is a young man's job. And as we're getting older, so I did find a couple candidates in the department that were good and that the members really enjoyed working for, and I felt they were good. So I decided it was time to step down and let the new generation take over. Unfortunately, the trustees didn't agree with my decision, but that's where we ended up where we're at today.
Yeah. The fire department has had some controversies in the recent past, but even despite that, they've been really well supported by the public in the township. Mm-hmm. What do you think that the township could have done to help mitigate some of these situations, or help out?
Well, yes, Deerfield Township has been awesome as far as supporting the township, as far as I can remember, through a whole host of different issues through the years. Most people don't know everything has gone on, without Facebook and social media back in the 70s, things were pretty quiet. But, I think the one thing is that the residents that did seem to get involved when there was issues with the fire chief, or if there was things that were going on in the fire department, they only looked at the one side of it instead of looking at both sides and letting the trustees work through the problems. They seem to want to bully their way through. So I feel just for the residents to look into the trustees and ask better questions on all the trustees, not just one.
So, not to just keep harping on the fire department, but I got you here. So.
Well, and the fire department is one of the major things that the trustees have to do. I mean, everybody in the township has to rely on the fire department for emergencies, and so it is probably the most important part of the township, I feel.
What do you think is the next big ask that they're going to need?
Well, the fire department, just like all the other fire departments in the area and even statewide, is staffing. We just don't have the young members coming up like we used to. It was starting to get a little low back in the 2000s, and then we had 9/11. And with that push, all the young kids wanted to be heroes and wanted to go to fire departments. And the volunteer fire department was the place to start. And we got a lot of great firemen through that. Deerfield itself has actually put a lot of firemen into big roles as far as, all through Stowe, Kent, Ravenna. So we've turned out some wonderful firemen in the past. But right now, staffing is really getting hard. The EMS calls are getting more frequent, and volunteers don't have the time anymore. So I would say, to be able to get 2 people on duty at one time, 24/7, is a goal that we need to look for. With 1 person on duty, which we've been doing since probably 2000s, worked well when we had volunteers coming back in to help support that person that was on duty. Now with the recent retirement of Chuck Little, who was always around, a retired school teacher, he was one of our greatest supporters, and he was always around. So it is very stressful for one EMT or paramedic to respond to an incident by themselves.
Yeah.
You've got finding the address, you've got, dealing with whatever the situation is and trying to get the information, plus waiting for help to come or trying to find out who to call help from. So in a nutshell, I would say staffing and trying to get a 2-person on duty.
Yeah, well, I've got to imagine it's just not even really safe, I would think, to send a single person to an incident call, because you don't know what you're really walking into.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. And sometimes when it does seem, when our dispatchers feel that it is not safe, whether it's a fight or domestic or things that we will stage and wait for the sheriff to come in first, and then respond after that. So we do have protocols to help for that. But yes, it is very stressful, and so it would definitely be better to work with partners.
Well, I'll put you on a little bit of a hot seat here, because there's a lot of talk about a fire district.
Sure.
And it seems to me, as I've leafed around trying to get information on it, that it depends where you live on whether or not people think this is a good idea or not. And one of the seeming holdout communities against the concept seems to be Deerfield.
Yes, and I'm kind of confused and concerned about that. I'm not saying that the district is a fix-all, but it's definitely something we need to look into. It's something that Deerfield needs to be in the conversation. We are one of the busier departments in the area. And in the past, like I said, when we started to have 1 person on duty, we were the departments that other departments called until they started staffing. Berlin Center, Palmyra, Edinburgh, our calls were approaching 500 a year. And a lot of that was to other departments supporting them. And now we're relying on them to help support us. So I think it's something that we definitely need to look into. I would be in favor of it if it helped our citizens. I mean, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter what the fire department thinks or what a trustee thinks. It's a matter of what's best for the citizens. And if we can get in on the ground floor of this thing, maybe we would be able to have a more direct to the district or a direction to the district, so that we make sure it benefits our department, whether it means making sure there's staff here in our station, whether it's a rotating staff or something that makes sure that it's going to benefit our citizens. Because if you think now, with the 1 person on duty and we're calling mutual aid, we're still waiting for somebody to come from Palmyra, Atwater, Edinburgh, Sebring. So you're still getting the same response time. Yeah, you get that 1 person there quicker, which is great for cardiac arrest or things like that. But so I'm definitely interested in looking into it, making sure it's best for our citizens before I would decide I'm on board or not on board.
Yeah, I was floored when I was reading the articles about it. Like Paris has times when it's not staffed at all, which just floored me. Like, what happens if there's a fire?
Yes.
At that time, there's nobody at the fire station.
Yes.
So.
Yes, we all use backups for mutual aid and such like that. But yes, that is, and again, like I said, it's not only Portage County, it's statewide. If you notice, even on Facebook, I see just about every day there's some fire department, big and small, that is hiring people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we need to get the young kids involved and get volunteers coming back. That would be huge.
Yeah. Well, you've always been really tied into the community.
Yeah.
Much far more so than I have been. I'm kind of a hermit. score myself away out in the woods and just stay there. But if you look back over the past 10, 15 years, if there was one thing that the trustees had done that you could overturn, what would it have been?
Oh boy. Well, it's kind of hard to pick because there's quite a few actually. Through my many years of the township, working on the road department back in high school before the fire department, and then all through the fire department, I've worked with some good trustees, and I've worked with some maybe not so good trustees. I'm sure they all were doing what they thought was best, but I would have liked to seen the fire station be built a little more for the future, and to work a little better for the firemen. I let it known that I was not happy about the situation. We needed to add on. We needed more room. And then I would have definitely finished the fire station as far as, putting the restrooms in it. Even the little things as the handicap parking was never even really installed properly. So there was a lot of things as far as that was important. But I would have to say the biggest mistake our trustees have made was when they pulled back the probationary period of the current fire chief. I think every position, especially a position as important as this, needs a probationary period to make sure that person is a good fit for the fire department, for the community, and so I feel that was a politically motivated bad move on the trustees.
I don't exactly understand why you would remove that, because if you're hiring somebody who's good at the job, the probationary period should just fly by and not be a deal.
That is correct, yes. That was very confusing, and not sure why that happened, but here we are.
So one of the things, and this is more a window into my life than yours, I suppose, but one of the things that I really missed was recycling. Just being able to take your recycling to Deerfield to get rid of it. And I realized that the garage that was back there was in pretty bad shape, and it certainly was probably cheaper to tear it down than rebuild it. But then they said that the entire area was going away because someone was putting a gas station in there.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that gas station?
Well, the gas station's still coming. I've talked to a number of people that's been involved in the situation. Unfortunately, our county building department seems to be really moving slow. We've seen that with the gas station. We've seen it with the new drive-through that's coming in. A lot of projects just seem to get stalled out when it goes to the building department. And when you got something like a gas station that's coming in that may or may not be serving food, and it's going to have gas tanks in the ground and things. You got EPA, you got building department, you got health department. You got a lot of departments that you have to work through. So I believe that was part of the situation. They had to buy extra property and get with that. So my thing about the recycling, that wasn't the whole reason that we did away with the recycling. Unfortunately, Portage County Recycling, they kept increasing what the township had to pay. Actually, the township had to pay for those dumpsters and have them there. So when the prices were going up, it was becoming too expensive. Our funds are not, funds are just not
They're not
there.
limitless.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
One of my goals is to try to look into, because I like recycling. I can't stand seeing plastics. I work in the plastic industry, and I know how well and easy it is to recycle cardboard, plastic, and such. And it just feels bad throwing that into the trash each week. So I would like to look into whether it be grants or different ways of funding some kind of recycling, something to do, because I feel that was a very good thing for the township to do.
Yeah. Well, speaking of structures that aren't there anymore, the Circle, in all of my memory, had always had a gazebo and the different war memorials in it.
Yes.
And it seems periodically, every 5 years or so, someone decides to go straight through the round circle. And this time they took out the gazebo. There's just a big footer there. Any plans to put anything on top of it?
Well, yes. Again, the gazebo is going to be rebuilt, but we come right back to the building department and their requirements and submitting plans, and then the plans get rejected. So then they got to go back to the architect, and the architect's got to redo them. So I'm not sure exactly where they are in that, but I do know the plans are at the building department, and they're trying to get it rebuilt. I would love to see it rebuilt. I know one of the big topics in town is the circle, as far as trying to keep it safer or trying to protect the monuments in the gazebo. My issue is, being on the fire department, mine's more life safety than physical safety. So, I hate to see put barricades up there where somebody is going to actually get seriously hurt. Luckily, we haven't had a whole lot of serious injuries in the circle. We've had a few. But most of the circle accidents are one-car accidents with that person making a mistake one way or the other. So working with the state and trying to mitigate that, maybe planting some bushes, some softer ways to protect the building. But again, is it really worth taking or injuring a life to protect the structure that person's insurance should be replacing anyhow?
Right.
Most of the money that has gone with replacing the structures in the circle have always been paid by the insurance companies.
Well, that's good.
So we've been lucky there.
Well, that's a great segue to the next question. You worked in public safety for a really long time. Mm-hmm. Where do you think in Deerfield are like the most dangerous places as far as being on the roads? And mm-hmm. What do you think we could do to mitigate the amount of damage that's done there?
Sure. Well, obviously, the circle is a interesting place, but I think the 225, 224 intersection in that water is probably one of the more dangerous ones. And again, with that being all state operated and with the county road coming into it, the trustees really don't have much say on that. But we can encourage the state. We do have a good rapport with some of the state and county people, and we can encourage them to keep moving forward with some kind of replacement. I know people don't like the idea of a circle out there or a roundabout, whatever you want to call it, but from what the state stats tell us, that reduces injuries and it reduces damage. It slows people down. So when it all comes down to it, that's what we want to do, is reduce injuries. The other big danger part, which we've been lucky that we haven't had much trouble, is the lake. Actually, Berlin Lake is, pretty dangerous with everybody out there. And my thing to mitigate that is, even for the past 10, 15 years for the fire department, I would sponsor a boater safety class to try to teach it. And it was well accepted with the residents and the people of Deerfield, Berlin, and the surrounding areas that use Berlin Lake to learn how to properly drive boats and be safe out on the lake. So I think more working with the Corps and the safety thing and getting that information out to the residents is important.
Yeah, the Corps is a real double-sided coin there. I mean, they do a lot to maintain the lake as it is, but I know there's a lot of property owners who aren't crazy thrilled with them. Do you see the trustees as having any role in mitigating that relationship?
Sometimes we try to. The Berlin Lake Association has done wonderful jobs with helping that out too.
Yeah.
Because Berlin Lake is on 2 different townships. So when needed, they try to help a little bit. And the interesting thing about the Berlin Lake, though, when you compare us to the other townships, how much acreage is taken up by our government. Not only the lake itself, but the hunting areas. And those are all acreages that we don't get tax money for. And also the properties around the lake have been, summer places and stuff that don't have the higher taxes. Now, as those buildings go away and people are building more expensive
permanent
buildings
structures,
and bigger, property, buying 2 or 3 small houses and putting one on it. But so that was one of the problems with the finances through Deerfield that I feel is just losing all that taxable property to the Corps and the government, and they really don't help us a lot. They will with some grants and things, but really when it comes down to it, I don't feel the federal government really helps us out much.
Yeah. So this election season, you've been campaigning with Tiffany Havens.
Yes.
What do you see as the synergistic elements that make you guys a good pairing?
Okay, well, good question, because I know a lot of people were concerned about that. But I first met Tiffany when she was running for trustee 4 years ago. And we talked a lot about the fire department, and she had a lot of questions and things. And then after she was elected, and then I was put in as chief, was when she first started. So we got to work together there, and I will have to admit that I think as a lot of people that don't know her, when you first meet her, sometimes, being the new person, new trustee on the board, and me being a fireman, we didn't always mesh right away. And then I got to thinking that, she's just doing her job. She's just doing what the citizens elected her to do, to ask questions to the fire chief and make sure that I was doing my job properly and saving as much money as possible. So through that year and a half or so, she helped me a lot with getting grants. She did a lot of legwork for the grants. She did a lot of legwork getting a backup ambulance for us. Rented an ambulance off of Hartville Fire Department, which they actually let us have for free. All from her making phone calls, talking to people, and she really would jump in with both feet and help when needed. So that was important to me, and we have a good relationship that we can debate without putting each other down or trying to make somebody look bad or anything like that. So I feel it's very important to have people on the board that can debate without yelling and screaming and trying to bring personal lives into places that don't need to be.
That's a rare thing in politics these
days. It is very rare anymore, isn't it?
Nobody can just seem to disagree anymore.
Right. And we can agree to disagree when it's needed, and we can talk each other into things. So I think it's a very good workmanship. With her college education and my background on the fire department and just growing up in Deerfield from a small boy, my parents were very involved in the Legion, Civic Club, Historical Club, fire department. So I decided when I turned 18 that I would just pick one, which was the fire department, and stick with that and do the best I could.
Yeah. So let's do a short list here. You're elected trustee. What are your top 3 priorities?
Well, first priority is to try to get the fire station staffed. Whether it's, they just hired 3 new EMTs, which is great. Getting them on board, up to speed, and then if there's any more. Also, it's going to be very important. I'm going to ask the public to support the fire levy, because that's going to be a huge part of being able to staff the station. Unfortunately, in this day, we can't staff the station without funding. People are going to want paid for their time. And so between that and dealing with the new property tax issue that's going to be coming up within the next year, that's going to be interesting to navigate. And I would like to, and again, like I said, I'd like to see a little more with the recycling, maybe a cleanup day if possible. Finding more ways to get either more funding or cut out some ways to try to get our general fund built back up to be able to do things like that. I'd like to see the park get used more. It's being used a lot by the kids in the hot stove and the soccer, but now I'd like to see just, local Deerfield families coming up and having a picnic. We got the Civic Club built that wonderful pavilion up there, just come up and have a picnic, play some basketball, or
the walking trail's nice too.
Yes, and we're hopefully going to be able to fix that up and make it a little smoother.
Yeah, that's nice. So, quite a few years back, I guess now I'm thinking about it, Deerfield voted to get rid of zoning. And it's kind of I don't want to say it's a hot button issue, but you do seem to have people who fall on both sides of that line. What are your thoughts on zoning in Deerfield?
Well, I tell you, Reese, as I've been campaigning these last 4 weeks or so, Boy, that's like the first question I get asked when I go knock on somebody's door, you know, where do you stand on zoning? So myself have lived through zoning and was at all the township meetings for the fire department while they were dealing with the zonings. It was a very complex thing, and I think it got too complex for Deerfield. I think that a simple basic zoning went too far for what the country living in Deerfield had. So the people got together and voted it out. It was put back on the ballot a few years later and voted out again. So, you know, if that's not what the people want, that's not anything I'm going to push for. And interesting enough, really the trustees don't have much say on if zoning comes or not. It has to come from the people. It's not something a trustee can vote or make a motion on that, hey, all of a sudden we're going to do zoning now.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works. It's got to be voted in by the township, and then it's up to the trustees to run it after it's been voted. So, but yeah, if the residents don't want it, then that's nothing I'm interested in pushing.
Yeah. So, do you have, is trustees like a stepping stone? Do you have further aspirations for public life?
No, I think trustees is as far as I would want to go. But again, until this is my first real, you know, put my feet in the political ring. So you never say never, but I am getting ready to retire here in the next couple of years from my full-time job, and I'm looking forward to spending time on the lake and with family, and really don't foresee myself moving forward. But again, I never say never because that always comes back and bites you.
Well, for sure, but definitely take some time to enjoy.
Yes.
Not being on the grind. So.
Exactly.
All right, I guess we'll wrap it up. What do you think makes you the best choice for trustee in Deerfield?
Well, I tell you, I feel that what makes me the best choice is that I'm willing to listen to people, work with people, and not get personal. I think with my background as far as being a lifelong citizen, knowing the ins and outs of the past, and how to, you know, move on to the future from there is important. I think my experience through the fire department is important. I've worked with the township road department and maintenance department, so I have experience in all around township operations to some extent. So I feel that we can keep the meetings more to a professional meeting area, take questions from the audience without getting things out of hand. We just don't need yelling and screaming at our meetings. So,
well, thanks again, Vaughn, and thanks to Cafe 14, Josh and the staff for hosting us for this conversation, and best of luck this.
All right, well, thank you, Reese.
Yep.